What's the matter, Angela? You seem upset. Did something happen today?
Grandma, I think I've lost my best friend. Billy is mad at me because I didn't do something he wanted me to do.
Well, honey, we can't always keep everyone happy. We can't always please everyone. Tell me what happened.
Well, remember you gave me some money so I could go get an ice cream cone? And this lady was in front of us in the line, and all of a sudden her little kid over at the table started crying, and she dropped her ice cream cone and she ran over and she left her money on the counter, Grandma. She was taking care of her little kid and she never came back for the money, and Billy was telling me to take it. I couldn't do it, Grandma. I just couldn't do it. And he ran off all mad.
Well, Angela, of course you couldn't do that. You knew that was wrong. Something that someone else is asking, you always have a right to say no. You have to do what's right for you. You have to make choices that are right for you, honey.
Grandma, he was so mad. His face was so ugly, mean. And he went stomping off and went down to the park, so I followed him. And he told me if I don't do what he asked me to do, he's not going to be my friend anymore. Grandma, I don't want to lose him as a friend, but that just doesn't seem right, does it?
Oh, sweetheart, there's so much wrong with this. And I'm so proud of you that you stood up for yourself and that you can see there's something really wrong with this picture. If someone is placing conditions on you about you always having to please them to do what they want you to do, is that really a friend? Is that really someone that cares about you, or is it someone that only cares about what they want?
When you put it that way, Grandma, that isn't really a friend, is it? Because a friend would want me to do what made me happy too, wouldn't they? And a friend wouldn't want to make me so uncomfortable to ask me to do something that didn't feel right or that wasn't right for me. I guess I'm lucky that he didn't ask me to jump off a bridge. You know how Mom always said, well, if your friends asked you to jump off a bridge, would you do it? And of course, I always laughed and said, no, I wouldn't, but I kind of can see the point now. Maybe I was too little to get it before, but I get it now.
Oh, my beautiful granddaughter, I am so proud of you. You had courage when you stood up to Billy. You showed integrity when you didn't follow through with something that you knew wasn't right for you. Honey, you were true to yourself, and there's nothing more important than that in life. We're always going to run into people who want us to do things for them. But it is always okay to say no if it's not right for us. There are always going to be people that are criticizing us, telling us that we're not the way we should be, telling us how they think we should be. But even though you're a little young for this concept, I think you might understand that that's really their issue. It's hard when you're little to do anything about it. But this is good knowledge for you to take with you as you grow up, because it's always more important to stay who you really are and not make yourself into who people want you to be. I love you just the way you are.
And I'm really happy that you helped me figure this out. I knew there was something that wasn't right about it, but I was having a hard time figuring it out, and now I get it. Billy wasn't letting me be me. And then when he got mad at me, he was trying to make me feel bad. And that isn't really a friend. I'm sad about that, but maybe I'll just try to talk to him and tell him that wasn't okay and we could start over.
See how smart you are? You're talking about what grown-ups call boundaries. Everyone gets to decide what's okay with them and what's not okay with them. And we don't want to let people push us around and control us with their approval or disapproval. Someday when you're a little older, I'll explain boundaries some more. But for now, you just keep being you, sweetheart. You're perfect just as you are.
Grandma, you're the best. Thank you for being my friend always. And you do give the best hugs in the world.
Gonna talk about people pleasing. Something I am quite familiar with. I have done it most of my life. And I can't say I am a recovered people pleaser, totally, but I have gotten better from working at it. And what it really took was being aware of a few things, which hopefully I will cover, but I do have an article to refer to. Which means I will be looking over to the side, and you might think I've forgotten you, but no, I read. There is a quote from Wayne Dyer. People who want the most approval get the least. And people who need approval the least get the most. Makes you think, doesn't it? We think that we're scoring a lot of points or having success by putting others ahead of ourselves, keeping them happy, and we aren't even really getting the approval that we're seeking. So I'm sure you know that most of us develop this habit from our childhoods. What child doesn't want their mommy or their daddy to tell them what a good little boy or what a good little girl? I'm so proud of you. Oh, what a marvelous thing you just did, blah, 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 blah. We learn from a very early age to seek approval outside of ourselves. And yes, when we are not pleasing our parents, we sometimes get a spanking. It kind of depends on how your parents were raised, if they believed in that spanking stuff or not. But I'll bet there is the rare child that doesn't remember, oh, I am so disappointed in you. That's all it takes to crush a kid. And when that happens over and over and over, that kid's going to try harder and harder and harder to win their parents' approval. This is where we develop this lovely habit. And for many of us, it comes right along into adulthood with us. We don't drop this need to have approval. We can't stand to have people disappointed in us. We can't stand to be criticized because that implies that we have fallen short. We did not win the approval of someone. However, it kind of keeps us in jail. We're not free if we're always trying to gain the approval of other people, because to do that, oftentimes we have to put our own needs to the side. Let's say I want to go to the Dodgers game and my friend wants to go to the opera. I can't stand the opera. It's the last freaking thing I want to do. But because I want to please my friend, I say sure, and I end up missing the Dodgers game that made history because I went to the stupid opera with my friend. See what happens? See how I talk about it? I would build up resentment. I am giving up my own needs. I'm sacrificing myself to keep my friend happy. That's not really being who I am. It's certainly not my authentic self to be saying yes when really I mean no, and then to be carrying a grudge about it later. But it is a habit. It's a pattern. It's developed from eons ago, and it's not something that's easy to break even when you're aware of it, but most people just don't even think about it because it is such a habit. It's so much a part of who they believe they are. What was that other quote I heard the other day? Something about coming to the point where you realize you are not the you that people told you you were. It kind of comes down to that. You quit playing the game when you quit trying to please people and winning their approval. So here is a quote. Being a strong and free person includes the ability to move freely through the world without excessive concern about the opinions of others. You know, for one thing, you have to be on your guard all the time for when should I be doing this to make someone happy? What if they don't actually come out and tell me? What if I just think it's what they want? You know, that's a lot of burden to carry around. So this is about how to live your life on your own terms. And the one thing that's suggested at the very start in the article I read is that you think about the people you most respect. Do you think that they let the opinions of others dictate their actions and their decisions? These are the people you most respect. Most likely that is not the case because we tend to respect the people that are most confident. And the most confident people don't worry about the opinions of others. They trust their instincts, they trust themselves, and they're happy to dance to the beat of their own drum. So that's kind of where we want to go when we realize that people pleasing is not really getting us anywhere except full of resentment and wondering when that next person's going to ask us for a favor and wondering if we'll have the stones to say no. If you are at the spot where you realize, damn, you know, I'm not even living my life for me at this point. All I'm doing is worrying about this person and worrying about that person, and gee, I'm keeping them happy, but I'm miserable. If you're at that point, and you're okay with learning how to say no instead of yes, when really what you mean is no, there are some suggestions for how we can get over our people-pleasing ways. You know, and there's nothing against being nice. There's nothing against being kind to people, but sometimes being kind is not the same as people-pleasing, because when we are not bending over backwards for the people that expect that from us, and we're making them take care of their sometimes own dirty work, or when we're making them take responsibility for their own lives, when we let them know they can't always lean on us and expect us to solve everything for them, we're actually being kind in that way because we are empowering them. You know, if we're always stepping in and saving the day, if we're always acquiescing instead of making them figure things out on their own, we're not really doing them a favor. The bigger favor would be to let them figure out how to handle it, and then they can have those woohoo moments when they realize they did it all by themselves and they didn't have to impose on anyone because they could have done it all along. Thank you for giving me that opportunity, they might say. Well, maybe not. You know, chances are they're going to be pissed the first few times, but it takes practice. Keep going. I'm getting way ahead of myself, aren't I? Oh, I just lost a slipper. Excuse me. So, again, how to live life on your own terms. The first suggestion is learn to say what you think. Now that might seem like a no-brainer. What do you mean? I will say what I think. Well, people pleasers do not always say what they think. They might be thinking, you dumb shit, you could totally do this on your own. Why are you asking me to do it? And yet they say, oh sure, I'd be happy to help. A people pleaser might not even state a preference for where to go to lunch when a friend asks. And we may think it's really wonderful that we're so agreeable, how easy we are to be around. But actually, when you're always putting the decisions on someone else, that can be a burden to them. And do you ever wonder, if they wonder, why you don't have enough interest in your own life to develop preferences? That kind of implies someone that doesn't put a lot of investment into themselves, doesn't it? So, it's not always a good thing that we're so easy. So this says, if it's difficult for you, start with something small, which could be, where do you want to go to lunch? Or do you like blue better than purple? It is learning how to value your own opinions and to be willing to state them, to know your own preferences and be willing to share them. So start with something little and start building your way up. And you know what? If people are not happy with you because you're finally speaking up and voicing your needs or your preferences, that's on them, people. It's probably because it didn't agree with what they believed, or it screwed up their plans to have you do something for them that they didn't want to do for themselves. So, it is a good litmus test too. The next thing is to take time to appreciate yourself, the good things you do, the positive attributes you have. Because of course, we people please because we think everyone else is better than us. We might as well be the servant, which maybe is exaggerating, but that's kind of what has to be going through our minds, that we don't think that what we want is as important as what the person wants that's asking something of us. So building up your self-esteem is important. And one of the ways you can do that is to think about all the good, kind things you do in life without anyone asking you to. And look at the things about you that are positive. You can even make a list. It's not arrogance to acknowledge the wonderful things about yourself. It's a healthy thing. The third one is remind yourself it's impossible to make everyone happy. Yes, it is impossible. So let's say you have friend A, friend B. Friend A wants you to do this. Friend B wants you to do that. You have to decide who you're going to please. Of course, the other one's not going to be happy if it's not them you choose. Then you have a whole bunch of people asking things of you. There's going to be a good share of the people that aren't going to be happy that theirs didn't get put first, or that you did more for this person in their perception, which may not even be accurate. It can be a mess. So, just acknowledge that you're not going to please everybody anyway. Why not please them because you're pleasing yourself? Different way to look at it, maybe. Okay, the next one is, it's not black and white. There is more gray than you think. So it says the people that desperately seek the approval of others tend to believe that perfection is what is needed to please others. But you know what? There is no such thing as perfection. No one, not even the most humble, knowledgeable, beautiful being on this earth is always perfect. It's striving for something that can't ever be attained. Everyone gets in bad moods. Everyone does stupid things. Someone might not be happy about some of that. We can't think that if only we could reach perfection, everyone would be approving of us. No, they still wouldn't. Some people are just never going to be happy. So, no one can be perfect all the time. Next one is, and this one surprised me, but it makes so much sense. Avoid reacting to disapproval in a way that encourages the person who is criticizing you. It turns out that voicing disapproval is a way of controlling people. And it makes sense. You know, like the parents with the little child. Oh, I'm so disappointed in you. The child immediately feels awful and starts reaching in their brain about how can they get back to earning the approval of their parent. It's control, really. The parent can say, oh, you know, bud, you screwed up. It's no big deal. We all screw up. No one's perfect. But usually the parent is wanting a different behavior than what occurred, and they use that disapproval as manipulation or control. Very surprising. So, if you have someone that criticizes you all the time, look at it that way. Are they trying to get you to fit into their agenda? And when you do something they disapprove of, did you mess that up? You know, it is maybe a harsh reality to understand that we're being manipulated in all sorts of areas in our lives. A boss could be saying, you could have done that better. The boss who gave you his work and then wasn't pleased with how long it took to get it done. You know, the partner who says, oh man, I thought you were gonna cook me filet mignon for dinner. I'm so disappointed. Yeah, manipulation, because you're gonna think, no, I better run out to the store and get some steak next time. You know, there's all sorts of things like that. I actually just remembered I made a little Doodly video and totally forgot about it. I'll try to remember it and get this put in here. And the last one is, before you take an action, ask yourself if it's because it's something you really want to do, or if it is to receive someone's approval. Because in the long run, we don't need to make someone else our priority. You know, that's their job. That is their job of being a human on this earth. They make themselves the priority, unfortunately, by turning to you. But it's not your job, it's theirs. And your priority is to make you happy. So, just a thought. The next time you find yourself going, oh yeah, sure, no problem, you might want to go, wait a minute, is this to earn their approval? And after all my effort, am I going to get a thank you? Are they going to tell me how nice that was? Or are they just going to ask for the next thing they want? Because oftentimes people pleasers also build up resentment because they went to all this effort against their own desires, and then it doesn't even seem to be really acknowledged. It's never enough for some people. So that's kind of what the article talked about. Live your life for you. That's how it's supposed to work. And if you need this different slant, when you say no, you're allowing someone to figure things out on their own instead of coming to the rescue. And therefore, you are empowering them. Make yourself the priority. You're worth it. And when you start doing that more, seeing your worth, seeing that your needs and wants are just as important, you're going to start pulling in more people that will see the same things in you, that value and worth. There was something, I guess I missed it in here, but there was something about respect, and I'm not finding it. But it was about, you know, people that are people pleasers. Damn, there's a lot of peoples in here. They're often perceived as not as good. because they don't see their own worth. So someone may be feeling totally good about asking you to do and do and do, but they may not even be valuing you because you don't have enough respect for yourself to say no when you mean no. I'm not saying this is an easy one, people. I've only started to get over this myself recently, but it is an important one. Please yourself and empower all those other users. People asking for favors. I don't know. I'm being silly, but unfortunately, often that's what it is. The people that legitimately need your help, go all in if it's in your heart. But this is just to get you to start thinking a little more, being more present to assess whether this is really something that you want to do. If it's not something you legitimately want to do, if you're going to be resenting the hell out of it later, or even just feeling bad about yourself and saying, God, what are you, a doormat? Are you a pushover? Why didn't you just say no? You know you didn't want to do it. Just being more aware is a good thing. So that's why I did the video, and we'll see if I remember to put the Doodly video in here too. I hope I do. That's all I have for you. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care. Bye.